Fellow students and our dear parents, I tell you that the challenges we are facing in this nation are real. They exist but still can go away. Thousands and millions of you are surviving on one meal every day and the straining hardships of during coronavirus have left thousands of your children in depths of despair as you continue to suffer the humiliation of poverty, and you are the soaking bags of every charity. Your children are no longer seeing any hope before your nation, and the path of their education and their future is still unpredictable. In memory, we remember the children of Israel getting away from the dark and dangerous dungeons of slavery in Egypt, across the Red Sea to the promised land in as God's promise. Fellow students and our parents, it's time for us to seek for our rights and liberty before the nation, which shall enable our parents to achieve justice and prosperity. In this nation, hundreds of your children have been buried due to hunger and famine, and at the height of every political war, we witness most of our fathers who have always regretted for their own creation and the mothers. Millions of us, the fathers, are always living at fear and on discord and mismanagement. The buildings of every kind have become a lot of mismanagement, and every world the possessions and our houses have left us fully stuck because we are homeless but struggling to educate our children on loans and debts. We can put an important landmark in the rostrum of education and the rights of our own lives. The poverty shadow has swept across all your homes, and you all are uncertain of what might come before you tomorrow. The school fees payments have extinguished the last flame of hope from your hearts, and your children are unable to go back to school in this winter of hardships. We come before the nation to inform the government that we are not happy with the current Ministry of Education and the crippling our own nature, especially in the school fees management. The crippling fees payments and school fees taxes that have engulfed the students' community and crippling our parents' backs are beyond tolerable amidst our silence and great fear to speak before the nation. Minister of Education and Sports, Honorable Janet Kataha, you are treating us badly as the children in schools and the parents of this nation. You are aware that our parents are not working at all and they have no source for school fees, but you still say that they must pay the millions of school fees as usual, with 53% government tax on them. No, we are not satisfied, and we need your attention. However, we have always heard you, Minister of Education and Sports, ask us, students, when are you satisfied? We shall not be satisfied as long as Honorable Crystal Miyingo and has nothing to speak about the high school affairs for any effective changes since the time of his office, but instead settles confidently in his own office, waiting to accredit change of curriculum. We shall not be satisfied. We shall not be satisfied as long as National Council for Education cannot give back to the students any other productive service on what we collect every semester, other than accrediting new institutions and universities whose courses are getting closed by the East African organizations. And Professor Erika Tunguka tells us that he has nothing to listen from the students at all whenever we go and to seek for his attention at the headquarters. We shall not get satisfied of you. We shall not be satisfied as long you, Honorable Janet Kataha, you cannot comment on the school fees tax and the bad treatment of the police involving brutality and injustice in our universities, especially during times of national attention and the peaceful demonstrations that we carry out in our universities and some other high schools. But instead you end up comparing the school fees payments of UC and other universities in which UC students are also suffering the same, but because of the fear for police brutality, like other students also. One time we traveled across the seas and oceans in packages to the west. We were enslaved to work on plantations and shambles as slaves. And after the colonial rule, we lived an independent nation. But the independence of this nation is not yet defined in our nation currently. It's time to remove the last nail from the coffin of school fees taxation. It's time to override the education of this nation towards the new shores of justice and prosperity. Now is the time to make justice a reality for all God's children. And now is the time to raise Uganda from the dark and desolate valleys of bad school fees payments to the sunlight paths of brotherhood and effective leadership. Even though the Minister of Education is giving us this bad check, and even though we suffer the challenges of her regime, we still hope for a better response. One day, little black boys and black girls shall live in a nation where they will not be judged by the heights of their economy, but by the character of their content. This will be the moment when we shall rejoice in our nation with a new meaning, that the valleys shall shout and the mountains shall be made low, and we shall appear as God's children. Let us go back to our schools and universities hoping that the government tax has been reduced from our school fees. For God and my country. MENYA ERUSANIYA.